Hey guys, LunarSpawn27 here, and welcome to another edition of Jojo Part 4 Anime Manga Comparison. First of all, thank you all for the positive feedback and the comments from the previous video, despite some errors I made. Like how I mentioned that Astro Boy wasn't mentioned in episode 1, but he really was. The original name Adam was used. Whoops. But still, I plan to continue making more of these, and today I'm covering episode 2. So once again, spoiler alert if you haven't read the manga or watched the second episode. Episode 2 covers chapters 269 to 272 from volume 29. The ending scenes from episode 1 were additional scenes leading up to the beginning of episode 2, except for the scene when Angelo arrives as the milkman. That was actually more of an altered scene because Angelo's dialogue at the end of episode 1 was originally in chapter 269 after his failed attempt to sneak his stand Aqua Necklace into Josuke's home. What really surprised me about this episode is that Angelo's last crime was mentioned, even going into details about it and having a flashback sequence that happens between moments when Angelo was talking to Tomoko. I just assumed that the details were left out because of how gruesome it was, and to make Angelo more mysterious, but no, David's production was actually saving it for the next episode. And honestly, the flashback was really well done, with the colors, the shading, and the details showing just enough to give off more suspense when he talks to Tomoko, making us even more worried that he'll do something terrible to her. Luckily he doesn't. Plus, it shows how dangerous and messed up Angelo really is. In fact, Angelo is way more creepy and threatening in the anime than in the manga. Plus, despite being a minor antagonist, he's very smart, strategic, and quite effective, unlike some of the other minor villains in Stardust Crusaders. Now, the flashback didn't mention about the one policeman Angelo killed during his arrest, but if you look closely, you'll see a policeman clutching his side like he's been stabbed. Very nice detail right there, but the crime is still fucked up. Now, in terms of censorship, the use of it was held back in some of the more violent scenes in the episode. Yes, the scenes portrayed in the manga were more gorier, but the anime adds a lot more to the sequences and uses just the right amount of censorship so the viewers can still tell what's happening and can still be shocked and horrified. I mean, what Angelo did to the neighbor and his dog, it's still messed up in both the anime and manga, yet that and Crazy Diamond punching Tomoko to capture Aqua Necklace was really well animated. And again, Angelo, what the fuck, man? Now, with the dialogue, there were some pieces that were left out in the episode. For example, in chapter 270, Jotaro warned Josuke that Angelo's stand can transform into any liquid. Also, in chapter 271, where Jotaro and Josuke were in the kitchen, it was extended to where Jotaro tells Josuke that capturing Aqua Necklace was the only way to stop Angelo, and that physical attacks won't work, which I believe that part was also mentioned in chapter 270. I believe those parts of the dialogue were left out from the episode so that Aqua Necklace would be more of a mystery to the viewers, making it seem like there's more to the stand. That way, when we get to the part where Aqua Necklace transforms into brandy, it would surprise the newer viewers. In fact, there's an additional scene where Jotaro's in a taxi on his way to Josuke's house, wondering about Angelo's stand power. However, in the manga, Jotaro drove there himself in a rental car. But what really bugged me is how on earth did Aqua Necklace create the label for the brandy? It can transform into any liquid, so did he use its ability to make letters and a label using liquid? I don't know. Anyway, there's a nice Easter egg in the episode that I was not expecting. While Josuke was waiting for Jotaro, he was playing a video game with Famicom, I think that's the game console, I'm not sure. But in the anime, he was playing Oh, That's a Baseball, the same game Jotaro played against Darby the Player on a Nintendo 64. And the players were all Crazy Diamonds. Kudos to you, David's production. Now, with Ryohei, Josuke's grandpa, it's understandable why some scenes with him were extended or added. It's so that we can get a bit more attached to the character before he dies. Still, his scenes were brief in both the anime and the manga, so it's not that easy to get that attached to Ryohei being a minor character and all. But the death scene was handled very nicely in the anime, thanks to the voice acting and music making it more emotional. Plus, the addition of the family photo was a nice touch, as as well as how the mist was animated. I always thought that it only happens to stand users when they're going to die, but I guess that happens to anyone and only stand users can see it. Plus, Ryohei's face before Crazy Diamond healed him looked more brutal than in the manga, with his eyes and his open mouth. Also, how Jotaro's face was animated when he told Josuke that stands can't revive someone when a life has ended was really nice. He's known to be very stoic, not showing emotions on his face most of the time. In the manga, his face still remains stoic, but you can tell that there's a hint of sadness. It's just not physically shown on his face. Or maybe it is if you look really closely. However, in the anime, the emotion of pain and sadness is a bit more visible on Jotaro's face. I bet he was probably thinking about his fallen friends back in part 3. Oh god, if they showed a brief glimpse of them, the feels would be too much. But I have to ruin the moment by mentioning this. Jotaro told Josuke that no stand can bring a life back once it's taken. Jotaro, didn't you bring back your grandpa back to life? I mean, yeah, it was the blood transfusion, but he used Star Platinum to pump his heart. And I'm pretty sure Joseph was dead, even if it was like for, what, 2-3 minutes or something? Hell, we saw his soul leaving his body, ascending to the afterlife. Oh, who are we kidding? Considering how popular Joseph is, Araki had to make him live somehow. With Ryohei, he stays dead. And there's a reason for that. It's so that Josuke can have more of a purpose, a reason, a goal to get more involved in the series. Ryohei's death was a stepping stone for him to protect Morio and his mom. Now, at the title page of chapter 271, there's a bit of information about the kanjis Jo in Josuke's and Jotaro's names. According to the title page, Jotaro's Jo means to listen to or hear something, and to receive, inherit, or to pass on. Josuke's Jo means a weapon like a sword or halberd, to be relied on, and to protect, to guard. It wasn't included in the anime, but this was nice to know because those meanings represent their characters and probably hinting on what their relationship will be like in part 4. Now, the funeral scene did have some additional scenes like with Tomoko and a brief cameo of Koichi. There was even an additional scene where Josuke was praying near Ryohei's memorial shrine. Anyway, with Koichi's cameo, I did hear that Koichi's scene was hinting something. Well, he does walk past a house with boarded windows, and I did remember a scene in the trailer where there was someone hidden in the shadows seen from a window. So maybe it's hinting that, I don't know, but I kind of wish that Koichi would have been with Josuke for support or something. It would have made his cameo more important, especially since they became friends when they first met. Also, in the manga, it was Josuke narrating instead of the usual narrator from the series. But what I want to know is, what was the fake cause of death that everyone knew? Crazy Diamond healed Ryohei's corpse, so no injuries would have been found inside and out. I'm assuming that they'd had to say that Ryohei died of natural causes or something. Now there's the fight with Angelo. Honestly, it was adapted really well in the episode with its use of animation and artwork. Even Star Platinum gets some more action in the anime than in the manga. Not only that, but also the added little details that I didn't notice at first glance. In the manga, when Josuke and Jotaro were cornered by the steam, there was a rack with 2 rubber gloves. Later on, Josuke used the rubber glove to recapture Aqua Necklace by swallowing it. In the anime, when Jotaro was checking the washroom, the same rack with the 2 rubber gloves was there. Cut back to Josuke in the same room, and one of the rubber gloves is missing. I didn't notice that until someone pointed it out on Facebook. Again, kudos to Araki and David's production. So the overall fight was pretty good in both the anime and in the manga. I did appreciate the additional scenes, the details, and the transitions during the fight in the episode, especially Angelo's defeat, which was not what I expected, but was still awesome and satisfying. It's like the anime is trying to fill in little gaps that the manga didn't have or didn't need to have. As for the manga, I still really enjoyed the artwork and how the panels were drawn. Some I actually prefer more, like Josuke's hair getting unraveled and spiky. It was also cool in the anime, but it was more of an unexpected surprise because of how brief it was. But what bugged me during the fight was, how the hell did Aqua Necklace turn on all the taps and turn on the stove, which conveniently had a kettle and a pot full of water? I can buy making holes on the roof, but this? It's just, I don't know, maybe the stand is capable of doing that. But what about the humidifier? Did Angelo place it there? Because he knew it was in the next room, or maybe it was someone else. Hell, I'm still trying to figure out how Aqua Necklace was able to help Angelo survive from getting hanged. Seriously, is that ever going to be explained in the manga or in the anime? Well, whatever. Oh, there's also another thing I wanted to mention. In the manga, Jotaro says, I really shouldn't underestimate water-based stands like these. This was the best translation I could find, FYI. But in the anime, he says, I never would have thought a power that uses water could be this terrifying. Dude! Jotaro! You fought a water-based stand user before, who's blind! He tore off a guy's head off! Did you forget about that? Jeez. Anyway, it seems that this isn't the last we'll see of Angelo, because chapter 272 ends with Jotaro questioning him on how he suddenly became a stand user, while the episode ends with Angelo being a rock. Sorry, I still can't get over that. Anyway, so it looks like we'll be getting some answers on episode 3. So, speculation time. Since Angelo became a stand user before his execution, it may have something to do with the bow and arrow. Now, I know that it's connected to the origins or the creations of stands, so I think that the bow and arrow can either create stands or awaken a latent stand within a stand user. This was something I speculated before when I talked about what I knew about part 4 already, so someone had to find Angelo and use the bow and arrow on him to make him a stand user or unlock his stand. But who did it and why? Also, I know that this is connected to Dio, so is this part of Dio's backup plan in case something happened to him? I don't know, but I get the feeling that this is only the beginning of something really major. Which technically it is, but you know what I mean. So once again, a great adaptation to the first 4 chapters of the Angelo arc. Only 1 more chapter to go, and next is the Nijimura brothers arc, which is 10 chapters long. So that would mean that this arc is going to be split into 2 episodes. As always, I'm looking forward to seeing more of part 4 and more landmarks. Again, can't believe Angelo's a freaking rock. So if there's anything I missed, or if you have any thoughts about the episode and the manga, feel free to discuss in the comments, like and subscribe, and be sure to check out my live reaction and review on episode 2. As always, I'm Lunar Spiralum 27, and I'll see you all back again on Jojo Friday. Later.